You ever stop and wonder why Americans refrigerate their eggs, but folks in Europe don't? It's one of those things that most of us never think about. We grew up believing that a spotless bleached egg from the store is safer than one that came straight out of the nest box. But what if we've got that exactly backwards? See, here in America, we've spent decades. So it makes you wonder, did we make our eggs safer or just more dependent on a system that keeps us one power outage away from the spoiled food? This morning, we're cracking open that question, literally, and asking, is it better to trust the hen's natural design or the industry's idea of safety? Stick around because this one might just scramble everything you thought you knew about your breakfast. And good morning, tablers. And just want to say that this is Keith with the Farm to Table Show. And as you can see, Ryan is not in place, and it may be quite obvious by now. But anyway, I do have somebody else that's going to be filling in as my co host. And of course, it's my other brother. Let's bring in Scott. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
It would not be the Farm to Table Show if we didn't have to deal with the technical right in the middle of everything, especially on the
Of
day
course.
that you know that this is the first time that I've headed it up completely without Ryan being in the show at all.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
did fine
That
though.
explains it.
You did fine. It's just technical stuff.
Yeah. So, good morning, tablers, and we've got an exciting show for you today. And we're going to talk about something that Scott brought up to me. Um, and he sent me over something by Juanita Broderick that Juanita Broderick put on. Now, you guys may know Juanita Broderick from the history, the Clintons, and all of that kind of stuff, a scandal, if you will. And I don't know if she was making fun of this girl, but this girl on there looked like a farm girl, and she wanted to talk about why the bloom on an egg was better than the way that the industry handles it. And so, how are you this morning, Scott?
Doing good. Just trying to get all set up and ready for the day here. So just glad to be on this morning.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you agreed to be on with me this morning so I don't have to do this alone. But anyway, to set this whole thing up, we've got a video from the University of Auburn that's talking about the natural way that a chicken lays an egg. It breaks it down for us. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started because we've got a plenty to do, and we've got Jack that's going to be coming in a little bit later on. You guys know Jack Dyer to talk to us about it.
This presentation is brought to you by Auburn University Department of Poultry Science and the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
When a hen is actively laying, nutrients from the food she eats are converted into the building blocks of egg yolk. These building blocks, 1/3 protein, 1/3 fat, and 1/3 water, are then carried by the bloodstream from the liver to the ovary. In the ovary, tiny tissue bags called follicles fill with yolk and grow. The largest follicle on the ovary will release the yolk of the egg the hen will lay tomorrow, while the next largest will produce the next day's yolk, and the next largest will yield the next day's yolk, and so on. In 1 to 2 weeks, a follicle grows from less than 1 millimeter in diameter to the mature size of 25 millimeters. When a yolk matures, the follicle ruptures along a line relatively free from blood vessels, the stigma, and the yolk is released. If any blood vessels cross the stigma, a drop of blood may spot the yolk as it is released from the follicle. Called the infundibulum, the funnel-shaped upper end of the oviduct envelops the ovary and catches the most mature follicle as it reaches maturation and ovulates. Then the yolk embarks on a 24-hour journey down the oviduct. When the yolk emerges from the follicle and moves into the upper part of the infundibulum, it's the only time in its progress when it is not covered by a layer of albumin. Fertilization, if it is to occur, will take place here. Some bacterial pathogens, such as Salmonella enteritidis, are able to colonize the reproductive tracts of infected hens. If these bacteria become associated with the developing egg as it passes along the tract, and before it is surrounded by a shell, they can cause disease in a human consumer of the contaminated yolk or albumin. The yolk spends about 15 minutes in the infundibulum before it passes into the magnum. In the magnum, over a period of about 3 hours, it will be covered by a dense, shock-absorbing layer of albumin, or egg white. As the albumin forms around the yolk, spiral ridges which run the length of the magnum cause the yolk to spin like a bullet in a rifle barrel. This spinning twists the protein fibers in the albumin just in front of and just behind the yolk, and makes two pigtail-like structures called the chalaza. The chalaza keep the yolk suspended in the center of the albumin and ultimately prevent it from moving around inside the egg. The magnum gives way to the next section of the oviduct, the isthmus. Here, the shell membranes are deposited. These thin layers of protein wrap loosely around the albumin covering the yolk. It is as though the yolk and its layer of albumin are a blob of jello, wrapped with 2 sheets of cellophane. The process does not result in a smooth egg-shaped structure. In fact, an egg leaving the isthmus probably looks more like a prune than a plum. The partially formed egg then enters the shell gland. Here, over the next 20 hours, the shell will form. First, a thin albumin is secreted. This thin albumin is mostly water, and it moves by osmosis through the 2 shell membranes into the highly concentrated thick albumin surrounding the yolk. This plumps the egg into a normal shape and stretches the shell membranes tight around it. Next, a highly concentrated solution of calcium carbonate is secreted by the shell gland, and crystals of calcite form and grow on the outer shell membrane. As the crystals expand, they grow into one another to form a solid shell. Very tiny spaces left in between the crystals leave pores in the shell. Lastly, a special protein solution, called the cuticle, is deposited onto the eggshell. Gas can pass through the proteinaceous cuticle and through the pores in the shell, but the 2 layers protect the egg from harmful bacteria. Finally, in a process called oviposition, the egg flips end over end. This occurs through contractions of the uterus, synchronized with relaxation of the muscular vagina, and pushes the egg out of the hen's body. An important part of the egg does not form until after it is laid. When an egg is laid, it fills the shell. However, a hen's body temperature is 106 degrees Fahrenheit, and eggs are generally laid into environments that are 20 to 40 degrees cooler. As the egg cools, the inner portion contracts and forms an air cell between the two shell membranes. A chick would puncture and breathe through the air in this cell before hatching. The fully formed egg now begins another journey. If it has been fertilized, it will go to a hatchery. If not, it will go to one of two places: an egg processing and packaging plant for distribution to grocery stores, or to an egg breaking plant where, once processed, the egg will be included in one of countless food products, such as mayonnaise, cake mixes, or salad dressing.
So that was very educational to me because, of course, I've never watched anything that told me, you know, the entire process that takes roughly around 24 hours. But what we're talking about here today, and the overarching question is, you know, about the industry and the way that they wash their eggs, and they're washing off of that protective coating. And I don't know if Scott, that you noticed where salmonella was picked up.
Growing up, including what you're taught in school, they don't really go over where the salmonella comes from. So I guess my perception of a lot of the bacteria and salmonella and things you thought were something that was from a countertop, like it was getting into the egg from the countertop. But after reviewing and seeing a lot of this over the last week, it shows a total different thing about the health of the chicken. So that's an internal thing with the egg, which I was very blown away with, because I assumed it was something that you got off your countertop.
I think, Scott, that a lot of people, including myself, thought that it was mostly from external causes, and that's why they had to go through the entire process of bleaching.
Right.
But what I've seen is that salmonella was picked up in the tract, and
Right.
and it was before the eggshell was formed. It was before that entire process and everything that surrounded it. So it would be more or less in the yolk itself. And so the
Right.
question really came to me is that, well, why are we why do we do that here in America? And of course, we found out that most countries don't do
Right.
that. They trust the natural process. Now, I did learn that Europe does take care of the health of the chicken, but I thought they did this through some type of inoculation or something like that. And so I'm not altogether, convinced that that's safe either. I don't know what they inoculate with. Are they putting in an antibiotic? Are they, I just don't know. But I was, it made me think that maybe we're better off, leaving it like Europe does, because you've got that protective coating. We already know that it will, once you wash that off, you have to refrigerate that.
Right. You can't
And
leave them out.
right. And so I'm going to go over the history of how we got there real quick.
All right.
Share screen here a little bit. So this is the history of egg washing in America. We've gone from bloom to bleach. how the U.S. lost the natural egg coating. So in the early 1900s, the farm fresh era, small family farms gathered eggs by hand. Eggs are unwashed, relying on the bloom for protection. Farmers brush off dirt and store eggs at room temperature. Local short distance sales, no national distribution. Then comes along the 1930s to the 1940s, which was the rise of cleanliness. And I don't know, I'm kind of curious about how milk is actually, in relation to the whole sanitization, industrialization process, how those dates line up also. It's somewhere in there that I think we started doing that. Um, so between the 1930s and 1940s, industrialized eggs farmed expanded rapidly. Consumers start expecting bright, white, spotless eggs. Large producers introduced mechanical egg washing. There was poor sanitation at first. Cold water sometimes draw bacteria into the shells. And public health agencies begin to push for safer standards. Then in the 1950s to 1970s, we got regulation and refrigeration. The USDA, and this is how you can kind of gauge this, the USDA and FDA introduced national egg safety laws. Egg Products Inspection Act of 1957 to 1970s set sanitation standards: warm, sanitized wash water only. Approved detergents and rinse. Eggs must be dried and refrigerated. Washing becomes mandatory for commercial eggs. Natural bloom destroyed, and refrigeration is now required. U.S. consumers equate clean with safe, and I think that that's kind of where I fell there. Now, meanwhile, over in Europe, they kind of stuck around with the way that things were naturally supposed to be. European regulators ban egg washing entirely, focus on farm cleanliness and biosecurity instead. Bloom remains intact. Eggs can be stored at room temperature. Public perception flips. Washing equals damage. And so that's exactly backwards, as to what the United States is and the way that our mindset was then. I can only guess why. But the takeaway from this is in America, we scrub the bloom off and stick the egg in the fridge, to where in Europe, they keep the bloom and trust the hen's design. So that's the history of it. And it's very interesting to me is how they thought that was clean. And it almost kind of lines up with what I would call the era of Edward Bernays. Now, Edward Bernays, we've talked about it on this show before, was a guy who was a propagandist. Okay, as a matter of fact, there used to be some literature called propaganda, and it was thought to be a good thing, but they found out that was a negative thing. And so, but what Edward Bernays did is he started to advertise things in a way that would make a cigarette seem healthy for you, for example, right? And so that's what I kind of see was happening back in that era. Everything became industrialized, commercialized, and it really wasn't about telling the truth as much as it was about the perception in the mind of the buyer. So it was more of a marketing ploy than anything else. So
Right.
we can sit here and we can beat this to death, or we can bring in an expert. We just happen to have one that spent a lot of time in the coop. So I'm going to bring in Jack Dyer and see what Jack has to say about this. Morning, Jack.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Well, did you learn anything?
Well, I knew some of what was going on. I did know bacteria was introduced in the egg formation, and that's why we strive to keep the chickens healthy and their environment healthy. That's something that we've known for a long time. It's not something you just share in a conversation unless it just directly comes up. in a specific conversation. So I don't know if I've ever even talked about it with anybody other than beyond my own studies.
What do they consider, Jack? What do they consider as biosecurity when it comes to raising chickens?
So biosecurity to me means clean, dry facility, basically. If you keep it clean and dry, the birds will be at their optimal health. And of course, sunlight. They need sunlight too, and good airflow. But
Yeah. So
that's my opinion.
yeah, yeah, and I agree with that, especially after doing a little bit of research this week and looking at all of the aspects. Um, I was the person who didn't really know that. Whenever I seen a clean, white, shiny egg, I thought, well, the industry has done that to protect us, and I'm willing to listen to anybody over in chat tell me why that might be true. After seeing what I've seen, I'm really convinced that let's just set up a couple of scenarios. What happens if in the industry it picks up salmonella in the process of forming that egg? And then the eggshell is formed, around it, and of course, then you have the bloom that's protecting it, and then the industry washes that off. Um, what?
Can I address that? Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay because I think you see where I'm going with that because it doesn't really seem to me that it protects us.
The key to it's the bleach. All right, the bleach they wash the bloom off and exposes the pores of the eggshell, allowing
Mhm.
the bleach to also penetrate into the egg and kill that bacteria. That's the purpose of the bleach. Um, bad idea, my opinion, because once you've killed that bacteria, what you haven't done is protected it from further contamination. And that's why it's got to be refrigerated at that point.
Yeah, that's exactly what my study showed this week, Jack. As a matter of fact, I might even argue that the reason um, that they did that, not only to sell more eggs, to put it into the minds of people that it's cleaner that way, and I suppose the outside of the egg would be cleaner, um, but we don't eat the outside of the egg, or at least I don't. Um,
No,
but um, but it doesn't protect us from salmonella because salmonella can be introduced inside of that industrial process and be in there the whole time because that bleach, even though the shell is porous and it goes inside, my research showed that it could not take care of salmonella just to bleach the outside of the egg. Even though it's porous, it don't get into the area to where
yeah,
um,
it just kind of stunts it. It doesn't ever eliminate it, and
Well,
then further exposure makes it worse.
let me ask you this. If salmonella is in the egg and you've washed the bloom off, does that also mean that that's how cross contamination happens for salmonella to other things on the countertop? I mean, can
Yes,
salmonella get out of the yolk and onto a countertop when you wash the bloom off?
that's exactly how it happens because now, contrary to what, and you guys had alluded to that in the beginning, contrary to what you think, that it's an outside exposure moving into the egg, it's actually the salmonella of the egg causing your countertop, just like Scott's asking. And now you need to sanitize the countertop as well.
Right.
hmm.
For forever, it's been the thought that the egg was the foreign agent that was getting salmonella from being on the counter, but that's just not true. And that's what's surprising to me. I never knew, growing up with grandparents who left the eggs out on the counter, you just didn't think twice about it. And those were brown eggs where the growing up, you're never educated quite the same.
If I can show you this
with it.
without breaking eggs, you can tell my eggs are not clean. They're not nasty. And if you come buy an egg from my farm, it's apt to have a little hen house residue on it.
I like the way you
I don't know
put
if you can
that
see it.
residue.
Let me ask
Right.
you this too. So if we go to, say, a local farm to buy egg with the bloom still on it, what standards are in place to make sure that salmonella isn't a factor in those eggs at that point?
I would say at that point, Scott, you need to know your farm and how they're taking care of their coops and protecting the birds from the exposure of the salmonella in the first place.
Okay.
And other than that, I can't look at a dozen eggs from anybody and tell you has it been exposed or not.
So it's the sanitation of the farm that we're more concerned about. Does that
It's the sanitation and the health of the chicken, which leads back to the sanitation.
right?
What you're saying is know your farmer, know your
Exactly. Know
dealing,
your farmer.
knowing their practices, the source.
There's things in place that can help you know your farmer. You know, I have cold calls that come up and buy eggs because of signage that I have, but things like NPIP certified for the chicken industry can tell you he's taking good care of his chickens. And I'm not NPIP certified. It's a title that I don't necessarily need. I know what I'm doing, and so do my customers.
Right. So what does that stand for?
Off the top of my head, I'm sorry, it's national something. Anyway,
Poultry, NP.
yeah, the farm itself has been inspected and how they're handling their chickens and certified as a good, healthy farm, basically. And that means something when you're buying from that farm and can help that farm further its business.
Yeah. So I want to take a minute and recognize some people over in chat because there are some good information over there or some questions, and I will go back up here to the top.
I can't see the chat on my end. I'm on a cell phone.
Okay, so I'll read it and I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it as I go to them there. Oh, Scotty, Scotty's being Scotty. Let's see.
I love Scotty.
Yeah, there's some interesting things over here. Just want to get them. Of course, Scotty had to ask, and I want to get up there where it's at. And I knew it was going to come up from somebody, and it doesn't surprise me that it came from Scotty. But he asked which came first, the chicken or the egg.
Well, if you want to know my opinion, the chicken did. God created the chicken, and because if he created the egg, then he would have had to incubate it. I don't read that in my scriptures, so I think the chicken came first.
So Scotty said #Dyer eggs, and so
I came up with a new hashtag from your intro. I was going to introduce.
Okay.
#Are you a tabler?
Are you a tabler? Right. You can be a tabler too. That's right.
There you go.
So again, he asked which one came first, the chicken or the egg. And I'll tell you, after watching everything that I've looked, I said, man, there is no way that the egg came first after what I learned this week. I mean, I, like you, also had that opinion, but anyway, I'm moving right along. Let's see. A lot of times people have trouble selling eggs that are anything but white or light brown. Have you experienced that, Jack?
Yes, and I would say this: it's your market. You're not marketing to the homestead farm community when they want a white uniformed egg. A lot that's not talked about in that industrial egg scenario is they eject the eggs that don't fit the perfect round shape. And I'm going to sell you some funky looking eggs. I think I got one kind of oddball egg here. I'm going to use in a demonstration. It's not a perfect egg. It's got a belly on one side, but I don't know if that came through on the camera. But all that's just thrown away. Let me ask you something. How many people could be fed by those rejected eggs?
And that's the real question, right? So what you're telling me is an imperfect egg is a perfect egg.
Yes. An imperfect egg is still God's designed egg.
Yeah.
Let's
so,
go back to sanitation real quick, though, on eggs.
Yeah.
Once you have an egg with the bloom on it, what's the proper procedures before that you would take for sanitation before consuming that egg?
Okay, so that is when the wash comes in. I wash them, excuse me.
And what do you wash them with? So
I just wash them with warm water. If it's a dirty egg, like it's been raining or something, you get all too often you get a lot of mud. Mud will stain the shell. I'll scrub it with a little bit of soap. But this is as I'm about to use it only, not pre-washed and sit on the counter or in the fridge.
right. So just right before you use it, you would clean it.
Yeah,
before
exactly.
consumption.
I didn't think about bringing it in. I've got some commercial egg scrubbers. I would not pay for them if I didn't already own them. I got them through other means. They're not worth the money. Just plain and simple. They're like $16 for a couple of them, and they're not worth the money.
Jack, are those little like half round
Yes.
things that's got
Like
the
a little silicone cup.
there? Yeah,
Yep.
the silicone cup thing. I seen that too. A guy was kind of pushing that as,
I've got a couple of them in there that they're okay. They do the job. I can do it just as fast with my bare fingers, soap and water if I need it.
so save $16, do it by hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it ain't. And if
Yeah.
Dina watches this, she's going to throw those out. She's more and more becoming a minimalist.
I like that idea, by the way. That's a different topic for today, but I wanted to go over here back to Scotty because Scotty asked a follow-up question. He said, so Robbie, of course, Robbie is the wild huckleberry over in chat, for those of you who may not know. But so Robbie, does that mean the Easter egg hatchery have a hard time selling that type of egg? Which is going over to the question of color. One of the things that I noticed when you held up, and if you'll hold that up again, the eggs that you had there,
Yeah, they're all uniform color, aren't they?
they are. And it's not, by the way, it is not the bleach that makes all your eggs white. I've seen that out in social media to where they were thinking that some people were thinking that only bleaching them makes them white. And eggs come in all different colors.
They come in 3 colors. Eggs come in 3 colors. They come in white, blue, and brown, and a tannish brown. The rest of it is pigment that's added to it in the shell formation. The shell itself, if you crack open a really dark brown egg, which is a very popular one, like a black copper Moran egg, that's one of the darkest ones on the market. You crack that open, it's not dark brown on the inside of the egg. That's the true color. The rest is pigment added in the shell formation process.
Yeah. So I guess there's a misconception out there that colored eggs are, well, for example, the misconception to me is that people think, okay, if it's brown, it's natural.
Yes.
But
Yep.
white eggs are also natural.
I'm going to show you 3 different colors here. They're kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can hold them up there. This one is a white, as close to white as anything I get on my farm. This one is that blue. It's not a dark blue by no means. It's not indigo or nothing. And then there's your natural brown.
That is very light
color.
brown. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think I'm seeing pretty good there.
This brown is the one with pigment added. And I think, let me see if let me keep my eggs separated. I got some different eggs for that demonstration. You can actually scratch through that brown color on a darker egg. This one here is not quite dark enough, but I was going to try to scratch it. But if I had my pocket knife on me, I probably could scratch through it and expose the natural egg color.
So the natural egg color there, in other words, scraped a little bit on top of it there, it's not going to come down to looking white. It's still going to be a brown color, right?
It's going to have a pigment to it. It is not going to be crystal white. No.
Yeah. Okay.
How is the pigment during the process? How is pigment added to the shell?
It's the breed of chicken, Scott. I can't answer it like that video showed. I'm not that in depth. I just know through you get an egg, you get a really dark egg. This is how I learned. You get a really dark egg and it's got some blemishes on it where it's not perfect. That's because that color pigment has been scratched off in one form or another, whether it was cleaning it or just being rough by hand.
So pigmentation is a natural process.
Yes.
Going on.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I have.
Go ahead.
I was just going to crack one toward old Scott over there, so to speak. Pun not intended. So, are you thinking Easter egg?
I'm thinking. No, I'm thinking like, is there a process the chickens could color their own eggs for Easter?
Oh, Easter lay Easter. Is that what you're saying?
Just being silly.
It's applied right after the calcium in the egg process in that channel. And so funny thing, you can actually, when you process a bird that does lay a different color egg with the pigment added in the process, you can, when you butcher that bird, you can go back the line. You can actually see the eggs in the canal inside the cavity of the bird. And they stair step down in size until they get really, really small till you can't count them anymore. Roughly about 17 eggs.
Is that the same type of process like being a horticulturist for the last 30 years? There's process to where we can turn like hydrangeas to a darker blue color by adding phosphorus. Is that the same type of chemical makeup to the egg being pigmented, or do you know, not adding the phosphorus naturally, but is it something in their system, I wonder, that would produce that pigmentation?
It is something in the system, but I can't speak to it educatedly.
Yeah, because I do know that like phosphorus, magnesium, things like that can change the coloring of flowers. So that process just makes me curious if that's the same process going on and naturally inside the chicken.
It'd be interesting to look back, but I mean, what I was talking about though, when you see those eggs in the canal in this carcass, you can look back, break open that canal, and see the cut line. You can see where the egg has been colored and the rest of them hadn't yet. It's pretty interesting.
So where do they
actually, before the color actually is applied, it pretty much looks like a little bitty pinpointed yolk.
Yeah, and we kind of seen that in the University of Auburn video about at what phase they actually get the shell, and which is really right there toward the end of the entire process. And then once then it does that, then it applies the bloom as that last step before it lays the egg.
I have multiple birds in the past. I don't have any right now. That shell actually comes out pliable and doesn't harden until it's completely laid.
So was that part of the reason that they were talking about the temperature of the bird, and then when the egg is hatched, laid? Yeah,
it helps solidify that calcium.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that makes total sense. And so I'm going to go back over and show a little bit more love over in chat because, these guys they got some interesting things to say. And I wanted to come back to this because it says to a lot of people, yes, people are so ingrained to think eggs are white or brown. And really the reason I wanted to bring that up to you because it kind of goes back to the industrialization and what I would consider egg propaganda throughout the commercial industry, is to where just over time, all of those things that went into place were things that had pretty much already happened when I was born. And so all I know pretty much is that you go to the store, eggs are white and they're refrigerated. And so
Yep.
now you get through generations of people who just don't know. Now, of course, guys, like you, Jack, you guys know, but it's not a conversation that comes up very often, as you said earlier. So my question here is, do we need to educate people better so that they can make more informed choices about their eggs?
Absolutely. We've been sold that. These industrial giants that started in the 30s and 40s, like you pointed out, or the video, they were good salesmen. They sold that to the Food and Drug Administration of the U.S., and then the U.S. pushed it out. So it is not. And look, if you go to Walmart and buy the all natural, and I'm just mentioning Walmart, nothing against Walmart, y'all. I shop there. But if you go to Walmart, buy the all natural brown egg, the healthier choice there, free range and all that, I can look at it and tell there are still some industry practices going on in that egg selection. Because I can put a pen of 10 hens together and I will not get uniform colors and uniform shapes like you'll get in those all natural choices. So they're still culling eggs and they're still selecting egg color and all that, even though it's an all natural, organic, free range, whatever they dub it. There's a lot of loopholes in how you can label that kind of stuff that doesn't, it's misleading, just plain out misleading.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate you pointing that out because that's what it basically is. We've been misled in all of these labels, which makes it very difficult for consumers. Think about this. I go into a store, I'm uneducated in the process, and I just look at it and it says something like all natural, like this was free range. Their definition of free range is off to start with, but I pick up that egg thinking that I have done something really healthy and good for my body. But the truth is we have no idea the process that actually went through before we consume it. So we can't guarantee, well, I mean, you can't guarantee anything regardless of where you're at, but we don't know what the health effects long term would be if they have been subjected to an industrial process.
Agreed. Now, let me go back and say those free range organic eggs at Walmart are still the better choice of what's at the big box store. And
Mhm.
here's why. Because their definition of free range means they got out a little bit or they was able to expose to a little ground instead of kept in a production house where, if you've ever seen, is a very nasty situation.
Mhm.
Those chickens that are getting a little bit of pasture time and whatever, and they're able to call them free range by definition, they are getting the grubs and the worms and the bugs and all the other nutrients out there that your production house birds are not getting. So it does make them a more healthier egg.
So it's for them to get uniform color and say Eggland's best or whatever it is at the store people are buying with the brown on them. It makes me think possible two things. Either they're throwing out and matching the best coloring, or they're actually bleaching and recoloring the egg.
It could be either one. I don't know.
Because for them to be that uniform compared to what I've seen in your carton.
they're not uniform.
It would make me think that they're recoloring eggs to match that color.
Absolutely. They're color grading them somehow. And whether that means
Yeah.
they're actually using a color grade and saying, no, that egg's not good and this egg is, and or they're actually dipping them like I think you're suggesting there, or some way. They're making them uniform.
There's a process going on that's not
Yeah.
natural. Is what
God
I'm saying.
didn't.
Another process that we're trying to figure out: is it good for us or is it not
Absolutely.
good for us?
Yeah.
And I don't. And I'm
Go-
not advocating that process is bad. I'm just advocating they're not being completely honest with the consumer, because they're just picking out the grade A perfect fit my mold of
Right.
what I want type egg.
Well, and Jack, let's hope that that's all they're doing is just calling some out
Yeah.
and not going through some process that starts with the chicken, or that they do after it's laid the egg or whatever to change anything. So in the interest of time, we need to be moving right along. And I do want to again go back over and show a little bit of love over in chat. And Janet Neese says, I sell a lot of eggs. People say farm fresh eggs taste way better than in the store than store bought. And so those of you who've tried, you know that there is a difference. And I guess it depends on what you get used to in a lot of cases. Now I want to move on and go back up here to Ryan, who in his own words says, good morning, everyone. Yes, Scotty, I'm goofing off. So he's goofing off today. Actually, they are on vacation. Him and his wife are taking some much deserved time off. And so that's what's
Gotta
going
celebrate.
on. And let's see. Let's go on down and see if we can pick up something else Ryan said. He said in the commercial houses, and just keeping in mind, everybody, that Ryan does work for a commercial chicken business. And so it says in the commercial houses, they have pictures of the different shapes and colors. And then there's pictures of the perfect quote unquote egg. So, yeah. And just making our way through this because we do need to be moving on. Okay. So I don't know what this is, but this is for you. Jack, one thing I've seen more and more is staff eggs. What is that?
I'm gonna have to defer. I don't know. Who is that? Police story? Oh, that's David.
Yeah, that's David from Police Stories. Let's get started.
David,
Yeah.
elaborate. I'm gonna have to Google it. It's not something I'm familiar with.
Staff eggs. Well,
Unless
anytime you put the word staff on there,
yeah, that's an infection.
Like
Say that again. I missed what you said.
I said anytime that you put the word staff into anything, it makes it sound like a medical condition.
Yeah, it sounds like an infection to me.
Right. A bacteria, yeah.
And so then Ed Kirkpatrick, good morning, Ed. Feeding cayenne pepper, they say, makes the yolk more yellow. So this was back to when we were talking about coloration of different things, I guess.
I've heard that, and that also has to play with those bugs and minerals and things they're getting out of the ground when they are actually free ranged. That'll darken an egg yolk and make it much more healthy. The cayenne pepper, I've heard that the cayenne pepper also helps with some of the bacteria problems.
Yeah.
In a coop.
Right. And we're about to get into a little bit of that, talking about how to take better care of your chickens, because after all of that I've seen, it's the health of the chicken, not
Absolutely.
the bleaching of the egg, that is so critical when it comes to health. And so let's see. Let's see what we got here. And so
Well,
this,
as David said, Police Stories, that he's seeing a lot more staph infection type bacteria on chickens. That would be, in my opinion, something that would be picked up off of a countertop and not something internal inside the egg.
Well, I'm with you, and I don't disagree. And I think what he's talking about is chickens coming from places that are not healthy environments
Right.
on the chicken itself. For instance, just an example, I keep birds segregated when they come to my farm for the first time for at least a couple of weeks. And a lot of my birds come from auctions or even from hatcheries. I don't want to bring whatever they got into my farm if it's not something already here.
Well, he's saying it's in the eggs is where he's saying it's coming
The
from too.
staff, I
Yeah.
haven't experienced it on my farm.
Wow, staph inside the egg. Now that's something that would be worth researching, as
It
you
would
said,
be. It
because
would be.
I'm not aware of that. Salmonella, everybody knows, but yeah, I haven't heard this thing. So if it's something that's up and coming, we probably should know about it, I guess. So moving along, I'll go back to Robbie with the wild huckleberry saying, "My chickens are really free ranging. Those chickens really aren't," and that's absolutely true.
I wished I would have taken the time. I didn't even think about it until after we started into the topic.
Yeah.
And Googled up the exact definition of what they have to meet to call that chicken free range, because it is definitely not a farm free range chicken.
Right. Um, and again, we're going to be getting into some of those things here in a little bit. Going back over to Ryan, he said they feed them a feed with inputs to ensure they lay a high volume of eggs. The grower only selects the eggs that match.
Yep.
Everything else happens at the hatchery. And so that's why I was saying on the wall, it shows you or showing the people in the processing what you're looking for. Anything
Showing
else
the egg grade.
gets
Yeah.
called. Right. So that's
What
kind
do
of
they do with them eggs? I mean, if it was on my farm, I'd feed a pig or something if I didn't want to bring an egg in. But what are they doing with them is my question. The cold eggs.
right.
You were talking about insects as well. What type of I guess the diet of the free range to say the industrial raised chickens in all the coops and houses that are just massed together. What's the difference in what they're feeding to what free range chickens are fed?
Grains versus bugs. Really.
Mm.
I mean, I give my laying hens some grain and protein, but if I moved them every day, which I do not, if I moved them, rotational grazing for them, so to speak, I could probably, depending on my biodiversity around here, probably get away with just not giving them grain for time periods. But I supplement with a grain, but they get bugs and things like that where they will not in those big production houses. They're just getting the grain, period. Which is a question, what's in the grain too?
What is it about the bugs that make is it protection against bacteria and disease makes it or healthier chickens, or what's going on when you're feeding more in the bug diet?
I got it. I mean, to me, it's God's design. The bugs is what the chicken's meant to eat,
Right.
not the man-produced grains. I couldn't break that down biologically for you.
So again, going back over to the chat, there's a lot of stuff in there. And guys, I apologize, but I may have to skip over some of you tonight because I mean there's a lot of good comments over there that I may not get to. But I did want to get over to John with is that lash eggs? Now, I don't know what that means exactly, but it was a question that John had from Delighted Acres. And is he talking about the staff that David was talking about a little bit earlier?
Somebody in the chat Google that. I wished I'd have brought another form of communication in here with me. I don't have another phone or anything where I could look that up. I'm not familiar with the term lash eggs.
Right. So,
There we go. We got Scott on it up there.
Scott, are you on it?
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Right.
So,
Oh, while you're looking that up, I'll move along.
lash eggs contagious? So, what is a lash egg? It's a thickened tissue mass that looks like an egg, but is not. It's a sign of salpingitis. Is that right? A serious infection of the oviduct that can kill chickens. So it's a deformity in the eggs, and it's also something that can kill chickens. It looks like an infection. From the pictures I'm looking at, they're pretty lame looking, pretty nasty looking.
I haven't experienced that. Maybe it's because we strive to have a healthy farm here.
Okay, so
good question, John.
Yeah, good question. And I'm just going to skip on down here real quick. I got 3 more, and then we're going to have to move on, guys. And again, this is Ryan with 3 Nails Media saying in the commercial houses, they are not in cages, but they are confined in the house. They roam around and they nest. When they lay eggs, they slide onto a conveyor belt that feeds onto the control room. And so there you go, guys. That's a source from eyes on the ground, if you will, or a reporter in the field.
Right.
And,
I've seen it that way.
Officially, they are supposed to throw the cold eggs away, but that may or may not happen in all cases. Listen, if you're feeding your family, that's probably
He's a worker.
Yeah.
It's a worker-free lunch program.
And so Robbie with the Wild Huckleberry was pointing out that many people don't realize that chickens are omnivores. They eat meat too. Mine catch mice and eat them.
Yes.
That's
I call them feathered pigs.
Feathered pig.
I'm telling you, and I've got videos that are a couple of years old or more now where I've addressed them as feathered pigs because they will eat almost any scrap you have and turn it into good compost, by the way.
I got a little bit more on that lash. It's a discharge from the chicken's inflamed oviduct caused by viral and bacterial infections such as Salmonella, MG, and E. coli. They signal health issues in the chicken laying the egg. Antibiotics such as tetracyclines, I guess, are used to treat them. So it's something going on, leaving deposits on the egg that infiltrate inside the egg, causing big problems in its production.
In that description, you mentioned the A word, antibiotics. We do not use those here on our farm.
Right.
We choose to use more natural things like apple cider vinegar.
Oh yeah, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good for a lot of
It's good for us. It's good for the chickens. We're about to get into that. John again is saying yes, staff or lash. Now, John, what I'll say by what I was hearing, and Jack, you can chime in, or Scott, but staph is Staphylococcus. I didn't hear him say Staphylococcus in the description of what he said caused the infections there. I'm persuaded that lash and staph are different. So,
well, here are 5 of the common side effects that happen to these lash eggs from unhealthy chickens. E. coli, mycoplasma is one, the chronic respiratory disease, Salmonella, Streptococcus is in there, and then Pasteurella is another one. So there's 5 different type of bacterial infections that happen with the unclean chickens, and I think all of that is caused from this whole lash chicken.
Let me try to sum it up in my understanding. The lash is the egg outcome, and the staff could be part of the reason of that outcome. One of the 5
Yeah,
reasons.
well, these are the main bacterial infections that affect the egg from latch.
Okay. Yeah, it's in that neighborhood, I would think. Yeah, so I'm being educated this morning too, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So
The internet.
Right?
if it's on there, it must be right. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's all true.
So speaking to the people over in chat, I did put a poll up over there, and I'm going to go over there and kind of take a look at that and see where we are in that. And I will read that out loud. What's the real key to safe egg was the question. And there were 3 choices: healthy chickens with bloom intact. Number 2, sanitized and bleached eggs. And number 3, not sure, still learning. Okay. So this is an interesting poll to me because it tells me that where people are in general. Now 77% says healthy chickens and bloom intact, which is kind of where I've landed after learning this. There was 8% who said sanitized and bleached eggs, which was really interesting to me that there was 8% of people who said that. Then 15% said not sure, still learning. And so, that's a little cross section of people that we've got over there.
You run that on your channel?
Yeah, I'll run that over in the chat. I set that up just before we go live. You have to go over to YouTube and put that.
Well, it's my opinion that the 8% is who we're talking to. The 77% is of our realm.
Right.
I feel like, if that makes sense, if I describe that right, I think the 8% is maybe just a little undereducated in this.
Right.
Probably. I'm not saying they're not smart people. Don't get me wrong. You guys out there in the chat, you can be. I mean, I'm not going to fly a rocket to the moon because I'm undereducated.
Right.
But I do know chickens.
Right. And so I was also among those, Jack, earlier this week.
Of the 8.
Huh?
Well, hey, I was too until I got my first flock and started learning from there. And, that's 30 years ago. But, I thought I was not raised on a farm. I was raised in the country, but not on a farm. We didn't have chickens. We ate what we could afford. And that meant white uniformed eggs from the grocery store.
So
We have another thing too. When you talk about free range chickens, they're still I've been watching and kind of reading up on the homestead community stuff. And it seems like what's being produced out there by the industrial community is they want you to think that homestead, when they say free range, is just letting your chickens go.
Yeah.
And do anything they want. And from what I've seen on some of the shows I've watched about homesteading, that's not the case. There is some free ranging going on, but if you absolutely let chickens go to free range, you also open them up to a lot of predators.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And there's a lot of management that goes into true free range chicken and raising them that way. That people aren't aware of. But like I said, I think the industrial complex wants people to think that it's just people letting chickens go anywhere they want. So that's just not the case.
Definitely not.
So again, I'll just post that up there because John's followed up with, I think the main difference is staff eggs are actual eggs, but the lash egg is not an egg, but a discharge.
Correct.
The staff.
That's correct.
The calls. And yeah.
Right.
You're right, John.
It's the reason it didn't become an egg, I guess, also. Right.
Good audience participation, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the questions over there and some of the information that we get, that we didn't bring to the table. That's why they're called tablers, Jack.
There you go. Hashtag, are you a tabler?
That's right. You can be a tabler too. So anyway, right, hashtag. You can be at what was your hashtag again, Jack?
Are you a tabler?
Are you a tabler? If you're not, you need to be. Connect and grow with the Farm to Table Show. We are all tablers here. Anyway, we should get into the solution to this and talk a little bit about that before I let these people go. Now, listen, I know you guys are busy, and if y'all got a bug out on us, that's fine. You can come back, watch it later, do whatever you need to, but we kind of got to move on a little bit and be respectful of everybody's time this morning. But we need to get into the solution to that. And how I wanted to do that is to talk about what can you do to keep your chickens healthy? And I'm going to turn that out. I've got a PDF that is a free handout PDF, and I think you agreed to that. I sent that over, and you said you thought that looked right. And what I want to do is pull that up real quick, and let's just hit the high spots on it real quick.
Am I getting feedback?
You might be. Hang on just a second there. All right, here we go. So, here's kind of hitting the high spots. Now, this is really worth going into every bullet point underneath these, but there are 8 things that they talked about. And Jack, if at any time you want to stop and hit one a little bit deeper, then you can do that. But number 1 is build immunity. Don't just fight. Number 2, keep the coop clean, dry, and aerated. 3, give them sunlight, space, and soil. Manage the microbiome, which is their gut health. Biosecurity without fear. And this is I just wanted to stop a little bit on that one. It says the goal is to control exposure naturally, not obsessively. Quarantine new birds for 2 to 3 weeks before mixing with the flock. Don't share feeders and waters between the flocks. If visitors handle your birds, ask them to wear clean shoes and step through lime or vinegar solution. Wild birds carry diseases. Keep feed covered to avoid attracting them. So I thought that one was worth stopping on there for just a minute because people may not.
Right there, if you're going to do farm tours and have people come through and tour your farm, so to speak, which a lot of homesteaders do that for a source of income.
Right.
All of those are state requirements.
Right. And it's just being smart and being a good steward of that animal, I would say, and for the health of everyone else. And so supporting during stress, hatch and breed for hardiness.
Let me address that too. If you got a weak chicken, and I see people try to help them out of the shell and things like that, if you've got a weak chicken from the start, it's just a fact of life. You need to cull that bird. It's not going to be the productive bird and healthy bird you should strive to have on your farm.
Right. And so this is something that somebody who's been in the chicken business, if you will, learns over time. And people really care about what they do. They're going to take time to make sure that they raise healthy birds. And so number 8 was observe, don't overreact. And the goal is early observation as opposed to late intervention. And so this is an attitude in the person that who is doing that. But anyway, we do have a link to this down in the description. And I would encourage anybody who would like to have that. I have two of those links down there. One is the history, if you care to know that, and it's a free PDF that we offer down in the description. And secondly, the one that we just showed you about how to take care of your birds, because my opinion, Jack, is that the health of the egg starts with the bird.
Absolutely does. It absolutely healthy bird equals healthy eggs.
Right. And so, Jack, you have something to show us real quick about that, and I want to get that in if you've got time.
Well, I did. It's not specifically about healthy birds or healthy chickens. What I come up with just on a whim, and I wanted to address that. I am not. These are one of my sponsors, which is Grub Terra, but this is a coop refresh. Y'all, I don't know if it comes across on the camera, but it is rosemary and thyme, which is good health for the bird and to keep the your coop fresh, which is one key to having healthy eggs. Have a coop that's dry, clean, air, and plenty of ventilation. Hey man, I took a flip there.
Yeah, I
What
flipped
happened?
because we're looking, we can't read the words properly, so I
Oh,
flipped
was
it
it
around.
backwards? I'm sorry. It looked
Yeah,
good to me. Rosemary and thyme, and it's made by Grub Terra. And another thing is what they're eating. Grub Terra, like I said, they're one of my sponsors, so I got some of their products. But this is black soldier flies, which Grub Terra it helps with the overall health of the bird by eating good quality. In this case, black soldier fly larvae, and the healthy bird makes for a healthy egg. Now, what I wanted to show you is how to tell the difference in aging eggs. A very simple method that anybody can do at home. And if I don't have my eggs mixed up, I've got 3 eggs here.
okay.
I'm going to try to hold them all up. I got this one, I believe, is my freshest egg. I think this is kind of the middle of the road, and this one's going to be my oldest egg. Like I said, that told me to have a towel here. I'm
That's
glad I do. I'm
Jack.
glad I do. I just spilt water all over my table. I did. That wasn't the sound of a dropping egg. That was
Oh, I
me.
thought that's what that was. I
No,
pictured.
that was me bumping my tub of water. So
Oh,
what I want to do is put these eggs in here. I'm gonna put the oldest one in. What I think is the freshest one. No, middle of the road, and the freshest one. And then I'm gonna hold them up here, and I'm gonna show you the differences and how they ride in the water. This is the way you tell. So you can see that oldest one right there is
mhm.
standing straight up, actually breaking the plane of the water. The one in the middle is kind of the middle of the road fresh, and then the freshest one is laying flat on its side. Here's why. Here's how that works. Bacteria produces oxygen when it breaks through the shell and the bloom. If you wash that bloom off, that this first egg here that you're looking at, it'll happen a lot faster that way without the bloom, because the bacteria produces that oxygen, which causes the oxygen bubble between the hard shell and the liner inside to expand, causing the egg to float. Now that doesn't mean the egg is not fit to eat. You use a visual of the egg after cracked, and I'm not going to break that oldest egg open, but I'm going to break these other 2 open and see if I can. I have not broken these eggs open yet, so I don't know. But should be able to tell the difference in each egg. I don't know, that middle of the road egg looks pretty fresh still. That it did have more oxygen than the other egg. Yeah, I can't differentiate, but the yolk. Okay, guys, you can barely see it at that camera angle. This yolk is more round than that yolk. That's the middle of the road. This is the most fresh. I don't know if you can see it on the camera,
I
but
actually,
I can
Yeah.
see it.
that's the visual test. And I said I wasn't going to break this one open. This one's liable to have a partially developed bird in it because I took it out of a nest that had been seeded. Oh, nope, it didn't have a bird in it. But y'all look at the denigration of that egg
oh, wow.
compared
yeah.
to those other two.
Mm.
That's what oxygen does. That's what the bacteria does when it gets in there. And that's what we're allowing when we wash it.
I
So
see.
that's my demonstration. Hopefully that was informative. And don't get that wrong. I told my stepdad years ago, which he was elderly, we told him, said, yeah, you need to float your eggs and eat the ones that don't float. He was eating the floaters. Don't get that backwards, y'all.
That's interesting, and I think that's great advice. I did not know it, and now, as you can imagine, I'm probably going to go to my refrigerator and take out all the eggs and float them to see which ones will do. So anyway, yeah, that's really nice. And Jack, thanks so much for showing us the demonstration and showing up here for the Farm to Table show. I feel like that this has been highly educational for all of us.
It has.
And
It has.
and so, with that being said, Jack, do you still remember your redneck weather report?
I do. Let me give that right quick.
Oh, that's more like it.
Good morning, rednecks. It is 70 degrees this morning. We got it's October the 18th, 2025. Got a 9-mile-an-hour southern wind, making it feel like it's 67. Dew point's 58. We do have a 30% chance of rain, and we're going to get to about 75 degrees today. God bless y'all. See you again on the next one.
All right. That is
How's
amazing.
that?
That's it. Who else has had it on their channel? That's right. You've seen it here first on the Farm to Table Show. Anyway, I just want to thank you for coming in once again, Jack. And feel free to hang out if you want to. But for you guys over there, we are going to. This is game day, and so we're going to be bringing in Dakota to give us a little bit of rundown on what we can expect in the games to watch for today. And so, you want to stay with us, Jack, or you want to?
I'm good. I'm all right to hang out.
All right, cool. So we're going to bring in, like I say, we're going to bring in Dakota. Let me see if I can bring the right one in here. And Mr. P been patiently waiting over there. Let's see if he's asleep. Oh, hey.
Hello, everybody.
We red-handed.
Yeah, I was not asleep. I was actually looking stuff up the entire time. So,
and there's Code Man showing up in the background.
He just got in from work. So
he got in from work. Yeah. Hello, Cody. Anyway, so today is game day.
It is game day.
Needless to say, I don't know where you guys put OU. They just simply didn't show up last week.
I said it. I think Mateer should have been benched. He was too hurt for his own good, but I understand trying to fight, and I respect it. But we really needed the win. I'm just saying, we always need to beat Texas. But hats off to Texas. They played good. The offense finally showed up for them.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. P, I do have a possible reason why they did not show up last
what's
week.
this reason? Let's hear it.
They ate floating eggs.
There's a good chance of that.
As many floating interceptions as Mateer threw last week, I could see it.
Hey, at least if they did that, I would feel better about what I seen last week.
Right.
I'm just trying to help you justify it.
No, I can be. I might be an OU fan, but I can at least say, hey, look, Arch Manning finally showed up last week.
He did.
It happened.
No doubt.
It happened. So you win some, you lose some. We'll get it back next time. But on to the next set of games. I'll go ahead and Scott, this one's for you. I wrote this one down specifically. Clemson versus SMU.
Yes.
I wrote it down for you just so you should. I have a feeling y'all should win, but it depends on which Clemson shows up for you today. Let's be honest.
That's the whole key. Last week they showed up in full armor. This week I just don't know, especially with SMU. I don't know what they're going to do. SMU has a better record.
They
at this
do,
point.
but if
So-
if Clemson shows up last week, I'm just saying Clemson can pull this out.
Yeah.
Go Dubbo.
Let's see here. As far as obviously OSU plays Cincinnati today, OSU fans, I still do feel sorry for you guys this year. So, OU got South Carolina. I looked this up. We are statistically have the hardest remaining schedule because after today, the rest of our opponents are all ranked. So we either
So you're playing USC today.
no, we play South Carolina. USC actually, Southern Cal. That USC.
No, not that Southern Cal. The University of South Carolina.
That USC. We're playing them today.
I hope you stomp their
I hope
tail.
we do too, but we need our offense to show up this week. So
yeah, well, they're our arch nemesis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know, and I'm more than ready for that game when it gets down to that time. So OSU plays Cincy this week. Like I said, I feel sorry for you OSU fans this year. It's a rough one. Just ride it out, y'all make it. You'll be fine.
Right,
as far as ranked games this week, LSU and Vanderbilt. Again, still weird saying Vanderbilt ranked.
No doubt.
Which LSU offense is going to show up this week is the question. Like, again, that seems to be the question we have every game this week. Where's the offense? For most of them, I have to ask this question. For Arkansas fans, you got A&M this week. Rivalry game, yes, and I do.
Big Suey.
Boy, Pig Suey. But if y'all's defense don't show up, it's going to be a long, long day. This is an underrated one, in my opinion. Texas Tech, Arizona State. Arizona State's only lost 2 games, and that I think it was like maybe a combined 2 touchdown loss, like between the losses. Texas Tech right now is, I forgot to write down the ranking, but they're in the top 10 in the country. So this is a trap game for Texas Tech, is what it is, because this could possibly also be the Big 12 championship game later on down the road. So
Yeah.
let's see, you got Tennessee and Bama today, another ranked matchup. You got another round. Tennessee, the way Bama's playing, I feel scared for Tennessee. I'll be honest.
I'm an OSU fan, and I'm a fan of anybody playing Alabama.
Sounds like maybe an OU fan and anybody who plays Texas. So, USC Notre Dame rivalry game. That's going to be sort of a one to watch because USC's been playing good. Notre Dame's finally found their footing. Finally, after 2 losses. Irish should win. But then the last two I have here is Ole Miss Georgia. That's a top 10 game right there. Can Ole Miss's offense outgun Georgia's offense and figure out Georgia's defense, which is very stifling under a Kirby Smart coaching tree. So last one I have sort of written down is that this one's flown under the radar in my opinion, but the Holy War, Utah, BYU. I think it's BYU's coming in undefeated. Utah has 1 loss, and that was to Texas Tech. And so, quite literally, this could be the game of the day today. Like, throw in the fact it's already a rivalry game. People's going to be excited to see it. There's going to be some bad blood, some tensions. But then you just throw in the fact, like, you could easily look and see these 2 teams also be in the Big 12 championship game later this year.
I'm calling BYU.
I think I'm with you on this one, Jack, because to me, BYU right now, their offense is it's very hard to stop. It's a high-powered offense. Like I said, can Utah keep up, though, is the question. I guess we'll go into that one. But that's the game day selection today. OU fans, we should be good. So, Scott, we'll be rooting for Clemson against your SMU today. OSU fans, we'll pray for you.
Hey, there's always next year.
There is always next year. There is next year.
And a new coaching staff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel sorry. I do. I feel so sorry for y'all this year.
And of course, the most important question of the day, as far as it goes to OU, almost hate to hang around for it because I'm afraid of what I might see. But but what time and where can we find them today?
They are the 11:45 slot. I should have. Hold on. Let me get some quick clarification on that for y'all, so I actually can be accurate in my thing here. They are the 11:45 slot today. I do know that. That part I do remember. But they are playing on the SEC network. So some of you might get it, some of you might not. I know I'll have it on here after a while. So
Right.
I'll keep people updated.
Okay. Well,
Big day at Mr. P's.
It's bring your own food. I'm not cooking. So
all right. Thank you, Mr. P. I appreciate it. And of course, this is almost like after the show, you know what I mean?
yeah.
When you swerve off of the homesteading community and into sports, it feels a little strange, but
Yeah.
I just love bringing on Dakota because Dakota is so about it. So is Ryan. They're all about game day and what's going on, and they keep up with it. I mean,
Yeah.
it is something that I'm happy to give up a little bit of space for those who are interested, and for Dakota to be able to do something that he kind of dreamed about, a little
Yeah.
bit. He wanted to kind of start his own channel, talking about sports, So anyway, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here, and just want to thank everybody for showing up and sticking around for this one. Like I said earlier, thank you to Jack Dyer and my brother Scott for coming in and pinch hitting for us today, and thank you to Mr. P for being the sports highlight and in the background behind the scenes stuff going on there. And next week, Ryan should be back in his normal seat, and I should be too. And we don't know what's coming up next week. We haven't really decided that part. But whatever it is, we're going to try to make it informative and entertaining. So until next week, anybody got anything else to add to this?
Yeah. Dakota, in the words of your possible future sponsor, just do it. Start the channel, man.
I'm highly debated, I'll be honest. So, but right now, a little too much on the plate between work and school. So that might be a thing that comes in down the road once I get some stuff cleared up out the way. So
yeah, you do a good job, by the way, and I just want to say that. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get on out of here, and as opposed to lingering on, I'm just going to let Hank take us on out of here. You guys be safe, and hashtag Tablers Unite. Shop out and hashtag shop outside the big box store. Shop local. Hashtag connect and grow.
Think outside the big box store. Shop local.
You got it. And that's one that we give to Jack because he came up with that. So anyway, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you again next week. Hank, take us on out of here.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.